All right. Thanks everybody for being here. We're obviously excited with the tournament starting and really excited to be home and be able to show off this arena and the amazing community and just get the buzz started the month of December for the NCAA volleyball tournament.
Open up for questions.
Dani, just to be able to have a path that is straight through your backyard. I mean, how special is this opportunity, and is there pressure involved with that as well?
Yeah, I think it's an incredibly unique opportunity. Probably never happened before in our sport where somebody get hosted in their home arena and then be able to host the whole way through. So we certainly are not taking that for granted, but I do think there's some added pressure, especially for our hometown players where, you know, they've been hearing for 6 months like hometown heroes and how amazing would it be to finish this season at home. And I think that definitely adds something to it. And I felt like when we got that top 4 seed, there was a feeling of relief. And I told our team, I don't want to feel that anymore. I don't want to feel relieved. I want to be excited and hungry and ready for what's ever next. So hopefully we can take that to heart and some of the pressure should be off. The only thing you can do now is play. You know, the foundation's been laid. So we've done the work to get here and I just got to own it.
Coach, despite the ups and downs of the regular season, what has you encouraged about everything that happened during the season that gets you to this point, what this team has done?
You know, I think playing well for entire volleyball season is really tough. You're talking from August to December, and there's not a conference tournament to like bail you out or give you a chance. You have to be great, and we don't have any losses outside the top 5. That's really, really impressive. That, I mean, I don't know. We might be the only team that doesn't have a loss outside of the top 5. So we've been able to take care of business when we should, and that should carry our team really far into the tournament and hopefully believe that we're right there and we're really close to beating one of those top 5 teams.
Gabe? There's a microphone. I'm sorry.
You guys have been rolling through the ACC and kind of used to the schedule that you're facing. When you step into the postseason, you get teams that are kind of looking for those magical moments and you're playing teams you're not familiar with. How much of a challenge is it to face an unknown and to kind of keep your girls grounded once these moments arrive?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge because, you know, there's teams that get hot this time of year and there's players that, you know, can get really hot or have these breakout moments, and sometimes there's nothing you can do when a player is just on one and cannot be stopped. You just kind of have to weather that storm. So I think a little bit of the unknown is scary, but you know, we have a pretty veteran group that's used to prepping for multiple teams in a week and has done this before and knows the cadence of the schedule and the rhythm. So I am thankful that we have a veteran group, but it will definitely be a different feeling than prepping for an ACC weekend where you know the teams and players and the arenas. So it's going to be a new challenge. But that's the thing with the NCAA tournament. It's fun that you see new faces, new teams, and get challenged in a new way.
Dani, for you guys, the last week of the regular season, albeit against the top-ranked team in the country and a team like Stanford, was pretty tough. What do you hope your kids take from that week coming into this postseason?
Well, I hope they realize that we're the only team in the country that had that type of end of the year where you play the number 1 team and the number 5 team, and the number 5 team on quite the road trip too. So that was challenging, and we had some really great moments in those matches. It wasn't like in either of them, we got rolled. It was, we did some good things, and then some of our weaknesses got exposed, and we learned a couple things, which is good. Like, nobody else had the opportunity to do that or learn this late in the season. So hopefully we can take those things, and the main thing is just knowing that we can't let those games, like, crack our confidence. You know, those were great teams, and, of course, we're here to win, and we desperately wanted to win an ACC championship, but that didn't happen. That doesn't mean that, you know, we're not as good as we were a month ago because we lost to some of the best teams in the country. So keep our confidence level up, but also a couple of things that we can change and tweak, and that should give us a lot of confidence going into the tournament.
Dani, you kind of had the open approach all year with the players about kind of embracing the, hey, we know that we can play on the Final Four. And I guess how different does it feel for them, or how have you seen them process it now that it is here in your
We haven't changed a lot or haven't necessarily felt much differences in our team yet. I think today will be the first time where it really feels different when we're practicing down here and there's blue around, not just cardinal birds everywhere, with the NCAA logos. But again, hoping that they feel some relief of the pressure and that, again, we made it here, we did the work. It's incredibly hard to get a top 4 seed, and to be able to do that, you have to be great from start to finish, and we did the work. Now it's just like letting each other play and enjoying the moment.
Dani, your team is battle tested. We talked about the schedule and just the gauntlet that you guys had to go through. How does your team shift focus from what has been a very tough stretch in the regular season to kind of having that last final push here and ultimately being at home? How does that help you guys?
Well, the home should help a lot just with the energy and even like little things you don't think about. So tight calls, challenges where your crowd's like, that was in, and like, okay, I can challenge you to some plays at Stanford where you're looking around and their fans aren't saying anything, obviously. So, I mean, those little things matter when it comes down to a few points, which is what the NCAA tournament's going to come down to. So I think being home is just a huge energy builder. It's a little bit of confidence, and then it's really nice to be in our routine, and there aren't as many unexpected things that can happen. So we're very thankful to have those advantages being at home.
When you look at how you built this roster, how have you navigated all the things going on in college sports with NIL and the transfer portal? A question that just about every coach gets nowadays.
Mm-hmm. I think that changes, it's going to change a lot in the next year. Luckily with this team, I think they really all wanted to be here and believe in what we're doing and kept the team's goal, more important than any of their individual goals. And I think that most importantly is having really upfront conversations at the beginning, and sticking to those and continuing those throughout the year to make sure everybody stays on the same page. But that could be a different question in 6 months.
You have a lot of experience competing in the NCAA tournament as a player, then as a coach. Do you have a specific routine or tradition that you do before the tournament for each match or anything like that?
No, not really. I think we've kind of changed some traditions, and historically we've been a little bit of a superstitious staff and team, and this year we're like, forget the superstitions, we're not going to deal with those anymore. So we've kind of been doing things, I wouldn't say differently, just not as regimen. But we like to, we got our nails done as a team a couple days ago to get ready and get a little relaxation, and we like to do a couple nice dinners, especially when we're home, because that's what you do on the road. But other than that, there's nothing too noteworthy.
You mentioned those last 2 games kind of showing exposing a few weaknesses, maybe some adjustments. As much as you can, explaining some of that. Just what did you see that you think you guys can do a little bit going into tournament play?
I think the biggest one is, playing a little bit cleaner and really taking, I don't want to call it taking to heart, but really knowing the importance of every contact. And when you play great teams, 1 or 2 can really make a difference. So I think we saw what happens if we lose a little bit of focus against a great team, and that's something that, I think was more of a reminder versus an adjustment. But then I think from a defensive standpoint, we've been very good all year. And then playing against great teams, you can just see, man, we're so close here, we're so close there. We can make these quick adjustments to be a little bit better. And playing against great attackers will do that. And so it was good to learn those things that we can really adjust in practice.
What stood out to you watching film on Chicago State?
Just, they play with a lot of fire, and, this is their first NCAA tournament ever, so I think they're going to be, really emotional and fun. But they only have 9 players, so that's very, very unique in our sport, and I think that makes for, a team has a ton of team camaraderie and plays really well together. So, I mean, if they get a lot of momentum, they can do some damage.
You've obviously been through a good bit of these by now. Is there something that you've progressively learned about the NCAA tournament that deeper and deeper you've gone in this in recent years? Final Fours now, the championship games that you try to apply to your organization?
I think the main thing is just helping our players understand what it feels like, because I think it's very different than a normal game. And, coaches say, we're going to approach it the same, and we're going to do the same. Well, of course, we're going to have our same routines, but the feelings are much different, and you can't ignore that. So I think being really upfront about how we're feeling and the pressure we're feeling, and then I think a lot of the hoopla around it and the press conferences, the media, people in practice, I think that's different. And so making sure they know what to expect there so they're not distracted when those moments come, I think that really helps. And especially for our veterans, they can help the younger players understand that because they've been through it, and I don't think you quite get it until you've been through it. But I just think also just the mindset that the prepping for multiple teams, really you have to prep for 3 teams in a week, and that's very difficult. You got to prep for the team you play, and then you're possible if you advance, you got to prep for those 2 opponents. And so it's a lot to take in mentally, and how do you compartmentalize that? And we've been working on that throughout the year, explaining to our team early on, this is what's going to feel like an NCAA tournament. We have multiple teams, and hopefully that will carry on through this week. But I think we've done a pretty good job at this point of being really focused when it comes to those things.
Any more questions? We'll do one more, or 2 more.
I guess with your NCAA tournament experience, how have you kind of prepared, say, some of the newcomers, or prepared your team, say, for hosting after, having been to a Final Four? I mean, what would you tell some of the newer players that, enjoy this experience? How do you get them to, kind of shake off maybe whatever kind of nervousness they might have?
Well, we'll do some things in practice maybe we wouldn't normally do, as far as fun games, or and we'll do a couple team activities where we physically see some of the stress, or see some of the pressure going away, or burning up. So we'll do some things to hopefully help with that. But I just think constant communication, reminding them what got us here, and that they don't need to completely change the book and rewrite the book, that what they've done up to this point is what it takes to win a national championship.
Last question.
Dani, how much do you think your depth helps you down the stretch, having multiple middles, being able to switch from a 6'2" to a 5'1", running DSs sometimes, not other times? How much do you think that helps you going into the tournament?
I think it helps a lot just when you talk about freshness and finding ways to keep players fresh. We can do some unique subbing, but I also think it's helped to get us here because our practices have been so competitive, maybe the most competitive they've ever been, when both sides are really good, and the starters aren't just winning every drill, and you can really work on that starting side where you're not always mixing teams to get certain matchups. So I think the depth has really helped us to get to this point. And then I do think it helps everybody have the mindset they might go in. We saw Peyton Peterson come in crucial moments against Stanford, and I think they're all ready to go if their name is called. Thank you all so much for being here. Great to see the turnout today.